So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Gwyneth, for this lovely introduction. As she mentioned, I've been speaking to many people for many years as a human factor specialist. And usually I speak in front of hundreds of students, of human factor colleagues and engineers, and it is without fear because it is in my professional context. But here, this is the first time I'm speaking in front of so many pilots in a professional Airbus auditorium. And this gives me some fear, because this is not my usual professional context. And this is interesting because I have to manage this for the next 30 minutes in front of you. But your professional context is not in an auditorium. Your context is different. You don't work here, but in a cockpit. And the cockpit looks and sounds like this.
Sounds at 8 Papa Shannon, resume on navigation direct to Pickle, thank you.
Sounds at 8 Papa direct Pickle, thank you.
Sounds at 8 Papa, contact Shannon 122, Dakman Minor 80, good day.
22980 Lufthansa 8 Papa, bye-bye. Lufthansa 8 Papa,
Lufthansa 8 Papa.
So, what did you just feel? Were you startled? Is your heart still beating? Did your breathing accelerate? Did you scream? Did you feel the need to evacuate energy by punching something or somebody? Okay. And the most essential, were your senses fully alert right after the zombie? And is they still alert now? Okay, how? You can breathe. You are no more calm. You are no longer in the cockpit. You are in this auditorium. There is no survival risk for you, except for me during this presentation. In the cockpit, your startle factors can be due to an ICAM alert, to a turbulence, to a traffic alert. You just saw another aircraft. The ATC requests you an holding pattern. There is a loud noise. There is a bird strike, even a lightning strike. These events can and do happen in your business, and I am sure that pilots in this room have experienced some form of startle in their career. Let's define this concept: surprise, startle, and fear. A startle response is triggered by a surprise. A surprise is a human exposure to a sudden, intense event that violates the pilot's expectation. In less than 1 second, the startle response occurs. This is a physiological and cognitive reaction of your body, and it is spontaneous and not possible to control. And let's imagine that the duration is a bit longer, and you are still in the cockpit, and lives are at stake. The startle is over. The danger is confirmed, and the fear sets in. The fear is a strong and negative emotion caused by a real or imagined danger. The fear is at the extreme part of the stress scale. And near the fear, we have also panic and petrification. Why? Because we perceive a survival risk. The danger after the zombie was not confirmed. And now you are at ease. Fear is not present, and your instinct of survival are deactivated. There is no imminent threat for you in this room. The threat is for me. My survival instincts are triggered while I speak to you in this room. But now, Let's go back in the cockpit. Imagine you were startled. The danger is confirmed. Your survival instinct has kicked in, and this is very, very negative. Sometimes the survival instinct can be surprising, even dangerous. And why? Let me explain why by examining fear and startle. Both of these, startle and fear, produce very strange reactions in general, and I would like to link them to reactions in the cockpit. I will present today 6 different types of startle effects and 6 different types of fear effects. Let me develop each one. For each one, I would like to explain what is it, give an example in the cockpit, and I will try to explain why this can happen in your job. So let's start with the startle effect, especially linked to the secretion of the specific hormone, which is adrenaline. The first startle effect is a precipitated reaction. This is a quick reaction without thought, and it takes less than 1 second to set. For example, if you are startled by a sudden and strong wave vortex, you might jump on the side stick. The other one is a preservation reaction. This is also a quick reaction because you react without understanding, and you do so for the self-protection. This is what we also the duck attitude or the back forward movement. Both of these, preservation reaction and precipitated reaction, in your example of jumping on the side stick, can produce a backward movement instead of forward movement. Why? Because our instinctive body reaction is to move backwards away from the danger. Can this be an explanation of the wrong movement on the side stick during a stall? Maybe. The third type of effect is what we call the overreaction. It can happen in both situations, wave vortex and stall. The pilots give excessive input on the side stick. This can be linked to the physiological reaction of the body. Your body boosts the fibers in the large muscle that are linked to simple, strong, and symmetrical moves. It is the reason why it becomes difficult to adjust your strength, your precision, and to do tasks requiring eyes-on coordination. Muscles become constricted, and fine movements are very, very difficult. Another reaction linked to startle is no reaction. This is what we call the mini freeze, where you do nothing, you say nothing, you do not move, you are stuck in a no reaction moment. Why? Because the startle response leads to a disruption of your cognitive processes. This energy is used to set up the startle response, and its energy is not used elsewhere. So it may take up to several seconds to recover. These 4 previous reactions are linked to the self-preservation. The next one, the next startle effect I would like to present, it's linked to the group preservation. It is when you scream. The first role of a scream is to alert the group. It is exactly why in nature animals scream or make a loud noise faced with a danger or a predator. You may notice, it's instinctive. It is in your DNA. You may notice that women can scream more than men in startle situations. I do believe it's due to the maternal instinct of protecting the group. And it's not only linked to the woman. In the cockpit, when you are faced with a surprise like a massive bird strike, your first reaction may be to scream. And this alerts the group. This is the first function. But also it activates the other people's fear circuit in their brain. This is the second role of the scream. And the group, the flight crew, cannot control their initial stress or fear caused by your scream alert. And this is why we don't like when someone screams. They impose stress and fear on us. All these startle responses have visible effects. But there is one startle effect which is not visible, and it's linked to the vision. The muscle that controls your vision just simply shut down, and we stare into in the emptiness in front of you. You know this. Someone passes a hand in front of your face, and you do not see it. The consequence is that you cannot see things 2 meters in front of you. Why? Because your program reaction is to focus on running away from the danger, and it is usually straight ahead. But we do not see in 2 meters, even into the cockpit. And this blank void can't last a few seconds. All these startle effects are useful for fight and flight response. Now let's speak about the 6 different fear effects. If the danger is confirmed, this creates fear. The confirmation of the danger reinforces the secretion of the hormones, 2 hormones specifically, adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline, as you know all now, can reinforce some reaction of the body, like muscle constriction, heart rate, breathing, sweating, goosebumps, and force you to move. This is a fight and flight response. At high level, the cortisol can impair the communication between the neurons into the cortex. The cortisol is often called the stress hormone. The consequence is impaired memory. That means you have difficulty to remember what the colleague just said to you, difficulty to remember skill set or procedure for which you have a training. The other consequence is it can create cognitive tunneling, difficulty to find what is wrong, difficulty to understand what's happened. The other consequence could be a poor decision-making, difficulty to change strategy or to consider new options. And there are many examples with past incidents and accidents of this happening in the cockpit. Maybe even some of you have experienced this form of effects due to the fear. Another fear effect is again the freeze, the inability to act. And as I mentioned in the first part of this presentation, there is a freeze effect due to startle and a freeze effect due to the fear. And the freeze effect due to the fear is due to all these hormones. There is nothing happening in the brain due partially to the high level of cortisol. All these effects can lead to the most greatest danger in the cockpit. No communication, poor communication, split cockpit, and disorganized roles and messages. And freeze and bad communication can produce a void, a non-decision when the decision is required. The crew don't react, while the aircraft is waiting for a decision. So we have heard about this. Maybe you lived this. But does this mean that the pilot is not competent? No, not at all. It's startle and fear. It is human. It is why we have survived. And we must always deal with startle and fear. We cannot eliminate them. But you know them, and it is your first barrier of defense now. But this brings me to the biggest question. Can we prepare pilot for this? And this is why I'm here. I am looking for answer to this very, very difficult, deep-rooted and genetic behavior. We as aeronautic stakeholders have to accept that pilots are human first. Pilots work in an environment where this genetic behavior may kick in, and this is difficult for them to go against their DNA. People react differently to the same dangerous situation because we are all different. We may be not able to eliminate genetic behavior, but we do believe we can find ways to better stay in control and keep calm. Let us just remember Qantas QF42 and the words of Richard Crespini, the A380 captain, during the flight where there were engine failures and several ECAM alerts. He said that there was no startle effect, no panic in the flight deck. The cortex took and maintained control. We were able to sit on our hands and initially do nothing. They were calm. They took time to think about their strategy. They assessed options. And above all, they managed their resources and successfully they landed the aircraft. What are the lessons learned for us today? This is a very good tip, a very good example. But we know it's not easy to just sit on your hands, put your hands in your pocket and wait for a while. It's not easy. But we know this and how to control the startle effect and the resulting fear emotion. Today, the startle effect is part of the crew resource management topics addressed by the authorities. Another subject that the authorities recommend is UPRT, upset recovery training. And today we have specific training to address UPRT. This fortifies the pilot's competencies and creates a way to reinforce the memory skill set and the self-confidence of the pilots to manage this kind of event. And this is the most important, the self-confidence. But how to deal with the emotional and genetic behaviors linked to startle and fear? How successfully to simulate startle and fear in a full flight simulator? And if you announce to the people that they will be trained on this day at that time and they will be scared, then they are not in a realistic condition. So today I have two axes to propose to you today. First of all is to educate pilots to identify the threats that exist due to startle and fear. For this, there are three options. The first, we can educate pilots on startle and fear and the effect on their body and their brain. And even if some bodily reactions are not possible to control, the first key to managing our reactions is to recognize them. And I strongly recommend to educate pilots on how the body and the brain can react in the cockpit in these situations. We can also educate pilots on the threat, on the events surprising them. And the second key is to recognize the operational events that trigger startle and fear. And we can also integrate soft techniques. It's very serious. Teach pilots to breathe better, because the main to manage the stress is due to training techniques. And these techniques are commonly used in Air Force around the world. We can enrich also some standards practice. For instance, before a CAM action, take a short while, breath for keeping calm. The second lever is to practice in order to develop personal control when faced with startle and fear. And this is a topic we can train with three different ways. Learning by watching, learning by doing really, and learning by mental visualization. Let's have a look on each, starting for me from the least efficient and going to the most efficient for the moment. So learning by watching, this can be done with virtual reality tools. It is a complete and immersive environment, and it reproduces reality almost to perfection. The trainee learns by watching a virtual cockpit and with someone else managing with success the mission. He can replay the scene over and over and analyze what to do every time. And this is learning by watching or exploring. Some quick advantages are no physical risk, easy to simulate the initial scenario of surprise with realistic sound and visual cues. There is a positive experience at the end and habituation to the surprise, and it is less costly compared to the simulator. Some drawbacks are this is only passive learning. That means there is no muscle memory involved. That means no brain memorization. And such, less reflex established. And for some person, potential sickness effect too. Learning by doing, really by doing. This is the use of simulator for startle. This is not simple, but possible. This is for sure more active and very good for muscle and brain memorization. We have also a good support for collective work, and it is a physical handling approach enriched from instructor feedbacks. The main challenge is how to create startle and fear in a simulator. So we need to create a surprise in a non-surprise event, which is the entry to the full flight simulator. And if there is a successful management of the startle and fear by the training, it's okay. But what's happened is the trainees fails. Then we can create a negative effect which will be memorized by the trainees. And this reinforces the fear and lack of confidence in the situation if the situation occurs in reality. The cost is also a drawback, but it's a powerful means if the trainee's experience stays positive and if the surprise can be effectively simulated. The last one is learning by mental visualization. Mental visualization is very often in many air forces to prepare for specific operation. The action of mentally visualizing the situation increases muscle memorization. And we have also the capability to play realistic sounds in this kind of simulation. This can create habituation to the surprise events. It is a positive reinforcement at the end, and the brain cannot make the difference between the experience in a real situation and a mentally simulated situation. The memorization effect is the same. The transfer in the real-life situation becomes easier because we can easily repeat. This is also the most used technique for athletes who memorize successful movement to produce the best performance. The advantages are, of course, low cost, and it is scientifically proven. It works for pilots, golfers, tennis players, and even chess players. But the visual memorization exercise must be supervised by an instructor in order to avoid bad habits, and it requires repetition. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 20 minutes, I have managed my fear in front of you, and some of the techniques I mentioned today for startle and fear were used to prepare my speech with Steve. Maybe I scare you in the beginning with my zombie flight film, and I hope it provokes startle reaction and activation of adrenaline and cortisol in your body. The same way I was stressed when Gwyneth announced me. But thanks to the right training and the right mental preparation, I made my presentation with not too many problems. The same way a pilot can end his flight after a sudden and intense surprise. We know there is no 100% efficient way to train, to deal with startle and fear, for a presentation or for not expected things in the cockpit. but we know that there are several things we can do to better prepare for the unexpected. Remember, we are designed to survive on Earth. Our genetic behavior will always be present, and this behavior is why we're still alive today. It is a success. And we must work with humans and not against humans. And what I expose you today is not complete, and surely it was not my aim. My aim was to insert in your brain how we can react in dangerous situations. At Airbus, we will continue to investigate this field, this human field, to find ways to better deal with the challenge of the startle and fear in the cockpit. It's our mission to find a way to best prepare pilots today and tomorrow. We need to share our experience with you, with the airlines, with the training device suppliers, with authorities, in order to learn from each other and to progress together. The more you are aware, the more you are prepared. Evaluate the danger. Take time to sit on your hands. Think. Breathe deeply, and quite possibly you will manage the startle and the fear. Thank you.